G'day guys, welcome to my first lure build on YouTube. Hopefully it's edited okay, it's not too long and you guys enjoy the video. A couple of things about me first. I'm an Aussie. I do a lot of freshwater fishing on the Murray River here in Australia. I've been making baits for about 12 months now off camera and decided to start a YouTube channel and hopefully help some people out along the way and yeah, just make some content that's enjoyable really. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this lure build. I'm just going to explain my gear here real quick. This bandsaw I actually purchased from Audi. So none of my gear is high-end stuff, and I do it all in my back shed. It's more of a hobby. Yeah, nothing too fancy in my shed. Just, got myself the basics of what I need, and got myself a good little sander here, which is probably one of my favorite purchases. Oh, I personally like to spend a little bit of extra time getting the sanding as close to the line as originally drawn. I find that obviously the better and closer you get in this stage and spend a little bit more time, then the easier it becomes later down the track when you do a few different things with the bait. But that's just a personal thing. In this part, I just draw a center line all the way around the bait and then figure out how wide I want it from the back to the front and whatnot, as you'll see here. A little tip, I mean, it's probably all done that before yourselves if you've made baits, but so you don't have to obviously get a ruler, you can just use your finger, which I've clearly done off camera there by accident. So you just run your finger along the one side all the way around and you get a good center line. Once you've drawn your shape, I'm just taking off the bulk of the excess wood down to the lines, and then obviously go closer again with the sander. As you can see on the bait there's some lines all the way around the outside on each side when it focuses in. Yeah, there. So I'm just going to carve them down to that on an angle. Always go with the grain, don't go against it because you'll find you'll take chunks out. I always put a brand new blade in for each bait, or sometimes I get maybe 2 or 3 baits before I change the blade. Once you finish carving that out, I've just thrown it in my vice grip. I've actually cut up a stubby holder and attached it to the arms of the vice grip to try and eliminate marking the bait, which is quite easy to do. This part here, as you can see, I'm just sanding it down to the shape that I like, or all done by eye. It's not ideal to drop your bait like that, but that happens when you don't do it up super tight, which obviously avoid doing so you don't mark your bait. But you just keep working the bait until you get the shape that you like and what you're comfortable with. Once that's done, I just do a bit more sanding by hand, just a bit more fine tuning, I guess. Again, try not to drop your bait. Pretty sure I do it here in a minute. It's not ideal. It marks up your bait, just means more sanding. Yeah, don't do that. Now I'm just marking out where I want my hooks and my weight and my belly. Um, what I do there is lightly pinch the bait until I find center. It'll just kind of hover in your hand, as you can see there. And I usually move the weight a little bit more forward than that. That's just a personal choice. I'm just going to use a 10mm drill bit here to make the the hole for the weight in the belly. I go down the distance of the actual drill bit itself. In this next part, I'm making all my hardware, which I use stainless steel wire I get from Bunnings. I think from memory it's 1.8 in thickness, but don't quote me on that. I use an Allen key in the vise, and then I bend it around, and then use the pliers to sort of crimp it right in. And as you can see there, that's my hardware made. And then I just repeat the process as many times as I need the hardware. This bait I need 2 of them. Um, Obviously, trim off the excess. You don't want it busting through the backside of your bait, which I have done before. It's not ideal. I always drill my holes a little bit thinner than the actual twist wire itself, and then I stick them in. Once I twist them in, they're tight. I just touch them up with a bit of glue. But that middle one there is going to have lead in the hole to hold it as well, so you don't have to worry too much about that one. Sometimes I use 5-minute epoxy to stick the hardware in. This one I'm just going to use the super glue. Both works fine. In this part, as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just putting the lead in the belly. I've learned from watching Marling Baits to always turn your lead pot on, so it's ready to go for filming. A fair bit of smoke there, that's just reacting with the super glue and a little bit of the timber, but just don't try to breathe that in. In this part, I am just figuring out and making the hardware for the line tie off the front. Didn't quite make this one as straight or as clean as I'd like. I normally do a much better job, but I want going to eventually make an apparatus of some kind that I can punch out a couple of them pretty quickly and easily and be all pretty similar shaped. In this part, I always like to sand up the bib. It just gives the glue something to hold on to. I'm going to use 5-minute epoxy to stick the line tie and the bib in. I don't know whether it makes a difference or not. It's more of my peace of mind that I do it. I've done it on all my baits and haven't had a problem, so it's just a personal thing. While that dries, I'm just going to show you a couple other baits that I've been making. I haven't filmed any of these as this is my first video, but these were all made by myself. Thinking about doing some more videos. Hopefully this video gets some likes and some comments and you guys enjoy it. And yeah, I'd love to do some more videos on some of the ones I've made. This is the beautiful Stella. Just needed something, a bit of a gap filler while the bait dries, and got bored, so I just filmed me and the dog having a play. In this bit, I'm just going to seal the lead in with bicarbon super glue. I'm trying not to breathe the fumes in on this either. It's pretty potent, but I gave the lure a super glue bath to seal the timber off camera. I didn't film that part, but I sealed the bait with super glue before I got to this stage. yeah, so now I just obviously made the eye sockets, made sure they fit, give it a quick sand, file down the bicarbon super glue that I sealed the thing with, the lead in, sorry, and just get it ready for paint. And once that's all done, I give it a final sand and whatnot, and yeah, we'll move on to paint. This paint that I'm showing you now comes ready to go straight in the airbrush. Doesn't require any thinning out or anything. Just give it a shake and then go straight in the airbrush and apply it straight away. I get it from a local hobby centre. I really like it. It's just super user friendly. Obviously, it's not super big bottles and whatnot, but just the convenience alone, I really enjoy. I really like that part. So. the colours I chose to paint this bait, I think it was white, blue, mother of pearl, and fluoro red as the three colours, as you'll see later on. But I chose to make this colour scheme chasing trout in my local area, as cod season's closed at the moment. And that's the blue that I'm going to use. It comes up, it's actually amazing colour, really, really like it. The pink circle that the bait's sitting on at the moment, I got that from a local, I think it was Spotlight, and I think it's to do with knitting. It's a knitting apparatus of some kind, I can't remember what it's called, but I got my mesh that I use for my scale pattern and wedged it in between it, and you'll see me use that later on, but highly recommend that. Yeah, so now I'm going to use the fluoro red on the belly, just at the tail and the head end. Use the blue to make 3 stripes on either side and the across the top. I did go a little bit onto the bib. I'm not too stressed about that. A lot of people cover their bibs, but yeah, I chose not to. I don't mind. My bibs are aluminium and silver, so. The last colour I chose is the mother of pearl. Not so much a colour, more of a glittery finish, I suppose. I use it for the scales, and this is that netting I was talking about. I do sit my bait on the bench and turn this over to press into it. It was just a lot easier to use, but I dry my paint off in between coats with an hairdryer, or a heat gun. Don't recommend sitting your bait down on the table, but I cleaned the bench thoroughly before I did this. Still probably not ideal. Yeah, and as you can see there, I just press the mesh down over the top, and then spray on, and that's my scale pattern. And then I had a little bit left in the gun, so I chose to go over the blue just to add a bit of glittery mother of pearl effect through the blue. Actually came out really nice. The clear coat at the end actually really brings all the glitter out. The clear coat that I'm using, as you can see there on screen, I don't recommend it. It's not the best. Still finishes nicely, but it's not the greatest. But I have a heap of it. I need to use it, otherwise it's just a waste of money. I usually just let it drip for a little bit, and then I get a little blowtorch and blow out all the air bubbles. If you don't do that, I find that as it dries, the air bubbles kind of pop and stay there, and it just wrecks your finish. It's no good. But yeah, try not to set your bait on fire. I've done that before too. That does not help the finish. So that's my bait, guys, finished. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please let me know in the comments. Hit the like button so I know that you enjoyed it. Subscribe even, because I'm going to do some more of these. Just appreciate any feedback from you guys. Thanks heaps for watching.